You're just joining us to start the program this morning on ITV. It's now time for our first discussion, and this time we shall be looking at the arrest of Abakari, the lead of the RIT for the Nigerian police. I remember 7 days ago he was declared wanted by the NDLA. After that, the Nigerian police handed him over to them for further investigation, and having that series of discussion on that issue that regards his involvement in drugs trafficking. This time around, we shall be looking at the impact on police NDLA relationship, and I have in the studio this morning to give us an insight on the understanding of this topic. I have one local, is the policy advisor, National Security and Strategic Group, NSSG. A very good morning to you, sir.
Glad to be here. Good morning.
Morning. Okay, let's begin with your understanding of the whole issue. Let's cast our mind back to when the NDLA actually made this declaration that Abakari should be invited for questioning over his involvement in drug case. What was your reaction from the very beginning, sir?
Thank you very much. Let us get something clear. Abakari, for whatever is worth, is a product of the Nigerian society. He's a Nigerian, so you don't expect him to be higher than the societal value. That's on one side. On the other side, you have what we call service decay, institutional decay. That somebody will rise to the position of a DCP, and all his indiscretions will just be overlooked or not noticed. And the question you now ask is, who guides the guardian? When Mr. Atta was here, we had this kind of discussion, and something came up, and we said there must be some procedures and processes in place to identify those that are not fit to continue to rise in any organization, be it police, military, or wherever, or whatever. And then we should thank God, if there is a word like that. This guy could have become the IG of police in Nigeria with all his antecedents and so on and so forth. If not for that issue that came up in the investigation of Hush Puppy Abbas Ramon, this guy would still have been around. But in any case, like I said then, we should not throw this guy under the bus yet. He's yet to be convicted. He's still supposed to be an alleged or suspect. So we should look at it from that perspective. Again, NDLA is likely to win this battle, but they're not going to win the war.
And why did you say so?
Because it's an irony that you have an organization supposed to be a member of, I believe, the intelligence community. What stops NDLA from asking for the arrest or whatever from the police instead of coming to the public? And you have not even concluded the investigation. It's unfortunate. And if you go through that statement by the NDLA spokesperson, he used the word disheartening almost 5 times. And I can also use the word here today that is disheartening that NDLA will go to the press and then to start asking questions and then for his arrest. And in that statement again, there was a position, a particular place where he talked about 25 kg being the drug the quantity, and then 15 already taken, and the remaining 10 that was to be shared between the police and so on and so forth. This guy could have gone ahead with the 10 and nothing would have happened. Don't forget that even in that statement, he mentioned that this guy said they pulled off something like that 3 weeks ago. The question I want to I keep asking is this: if this guy pulled off something like that 3 weeks ago, what stopped them from doing the same thing, that incident of 21 January before the guy was arrested? Don't forget again, the intelligence response team, according to the NDLA, apparently arrested these people, these 2 guys coming from Brazil, outside the airport. And there were policemen. I mean, there were NDLA people in the airport. What were they doing? So you see, it's not very clear what is happening. So we should not rush to judgment. I think we better wait for a formal investigation to be concluded, and when they are now taken to court. And that is why you can see what is happening to them, haunting them. A member of National Security and Strategy Group wrote a piece last year about the tendency, the proclivity of the police to arrest and then display and then conduct a media trial.
Yes, that's what's happening for quite some time now.
That is what is happening to them. That is coming back to
it's not just NDLA, the police itself. Seeing them parade criminals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That now they are also now being put to the same position.
How do we address that very area? Because media trials has continued to be what the Nigerian security agencies are using to get
it's just what we call feel-good factor that we are working, we are doing it. I have no doubt in my mind that drug problem is becoming an epidemic. No doubt about that. But the way NDLA is going about it is just the way EFCC was going about the arrest in the period of one former acting chairman. You first of all take the press men to the place to arrest and then you display. That is not how things are done. Fighting crime and criminality in anywhere in the world, it doesn't require the press. They don't go together. Fighting crime and criminality and then you, the people that are going to do that, you don't need press. See what happened to Abbas Ramon. It was after he was arrested and the investigation concluded, taken to court, and it was then that the case investigation was unsealed for the public to know because it's already in the domain of the judiciary. What happened here is that somebody will be arrested today and then before you know it, NDLA will parade people, EFCC will parade people. But I think from what we've heard now, EFCC has stopped doing that. Police and the NDLAs now they're the ones doing it, and they need to caution them. This not have to go about fighting crime because you are talking about somebody being done. What of the man that's already done? The so-called whistleblower. The guy will have disappeared. How do you bring him into investigation? How do you now conduct the kind of necessary interview or briefing that will stand against whatever the Abakari people will say?
Let's look at the synergy between the Nigerian police this time and the NDLA. Those who were involved in ensuring that we prevent drugs coming into the country and all that at the airport and other entry points. Now, are we looking at this very case at hand? Will you say that there is a lacuna between the two agencies? There is no really a synergy because so far the Nigerian police has given those who are involved from the Nigerian Police Act, 4 police officers indicted with Abakari. But we are yet to hear anything from the NDLA because there is no way we will read that part out that no NDLA officer was involved in this issue.
That is what I'm telling you, that you are not likely to see that until after the investigation.
So why are they shielding theirs and police has already made it?
But you would not have known about it if not because police mentioned it. That's what I mean. The police mentioned the fact that 2 people were at the airport at that particular time when this drug courier was screened out of the airport. You wouldn't have known about it if not because the police in their own response, which they should not have done in the first place. The NDLA should not have done, but then 2 wrongs don't make a right. That's what we're saying. That that's supposed to be inter-service international cooperation, not rivalry. And apparently they believe, from all indications now, that if not because of our press release declaring Abakari wanted, police will not have released it. I doubt it. I don't think the new IG of police will preside over an organization that will harbor criminals. It's an unfortunate situation, and NDLA should do its work. Let me tell you a story. A member of that National Security and Strategy Group prepared a report in 2019. A particular country in Asia, on daily basis, the authorities there will arrest Nigerian drug couriers. And from where did they get out of Nigeria? And from an airport. And when they interviewed them from Lagos airport, were there no NDLA people at the airport? And these people, they will now transit and then move to another country. You can imagine the number of citizens that we have in that particular country. And in that particular country, 90% of the drug courier coming from Nigeria from one state. And 90% of those 90% from 2 local governments. So you see that this war is beyond this press war among these men. They are supposed to look inward. But of course they will tell you that since the arrival of the new chairman of NDLA, they have upped their game and they are really working. But let us give them the opportunity to demonstrate the fact that this is not the honeymoon period that after some time we will not hear about the story again. I think
Well,
that's just
when you look at the antecedent of the present chairman back then when he was still a military administrator in Lagos State, you can actually tell what he can do. But why would the NDLA wait until this long before we start seeing results playing out?
Number one, I'm not, we celebrate mediocrity a lot in Nigeria. When you see somebody performing above average, we give kudos, we give awards. The same problem. This guy worked. Did he work better than Jakande? The same set of people that Jakande used, was it not the one that he used in Lagos State? What was fantastic about what he did? No, because we are comparing him with other 18 other governors. That's why we are saying that this guy. Don't forget again that this guy ruled under military dictatorship. There was no there was no assembly to moderate his activities. Go to Lagos. Would everybody in Lagos say that this guy performed? Of course, that's because the press. It's the same thing that happened to Abba Kyari. Standing ovation at the National Assembly, the press given award. What did he do? It's like you going to the ATM to collect your money from people and now start giving you award for doing that. What's fantastic about that? But that is by the way. That is who we are as citizens of Nigeria. You see little person performing, you now give him the award. Are they not working in other countries? Did they give them awards? Did they come on the news? What you have really pointed out is the fact that, okay, this is a new NDLA. And how come they're now doing this work? One, the personality of the person. Don't forget that before he became the chairman of NDLA, he was chairman of an advisory committee to the president. So he already had his grand work. He already smoothened his way. And now the source is going to the place. And number two, this organization we are talking about was created in 1990. And by now, we should have had somebody from that NDLA being the head of the service. The same thing that happened in the FCC. The FCC was created after NDLA. And you are now having first cadet being a DG of that place. What's wrong in having a cadet, number one cadet number one, I mean, their course number one from 1990 being the head? Why must we continue to bring retired people, retired that? Look at the history of that place. They've not had, number one, they've not had any of their members of 1990 set being the head of that place. And they have not even served for more than 30 years.
Is that a challenge? Do you think it's a challenge for the organization?
It's going to be a challenge because very soon, 1990, they will retire in 2 years' time. And they will never be the head or no, in their own case, they have the chairman and you have the director general. So perhaps none of them will become. We only have politicians being sent to that place. Perhaps politicians that are supposed to be somewhere else because they have not been able to do their work elsewhere, they now ask them to go and head the place. And the resources required, they will not get. These are career people. And they will now use that. This is so we just want to. I will be surprised if next year NDLA will not go to National Assembly and ask for money for tracking the devices, because that is the import of this relationship. That's why I said at the first time that they will likely win the battle, but they're not likely to win the war. They will still need police to fight this drug war. They will need intelligence. They will need surveillance. They will need tracking. Who is going to give them all that? It's the police. And because they now realize that maybe they are not going to get some of these things, or they will not put them on that, they will go to National Assembly next year and ask for money to be given that. How many times are we going to have tracking devices, surveillance from all the organizations in Nigeria? And that is why the NSSG prepared an advisory to government that instead of having all this surveillance equipment all over the place, why not centralize it? You have government communication headquarters in UK. You have the National Security Agency in US. All the communication facilities, all the hard and software, they have in one place. So that when you require it, you go and ask. But you have police having his own, you have the SSS having his own, and I'm sure there are other agencies with all this kind of equipment.
Yeah, but we saw the National Assembly just last week passed a bill for the second reading for a center, coalition center, like a national center for all security agencies to see how they can coordinate this thing.
But not communication. What I'm talking about is communication we're talking about.
But they might still have those gadgets put in place.
But it's not in that bill. Perhaps maybe when they get there. But it's supposed to be reflected in that bill. But this one is supposed to be an agency that will coordinate the communication, the discreet or secret communications of all the agencies. So you don't need to spend money. Police will spend, agencies will spend, other agencies will spend. They're supposed to have one organization with one head that will be able to monitor and be able to give. Just like we're asking NIMC to centralize all the data of Nigerians and so on, so that National Immigration Service will go there and
get data
and get the
make use
data
of
and
what's
banks
true.
and so on and so forth. So it's,
Now let's go back to the Nigerian police. In the course of our discussion, you earlier mentioned that those who rise to that position are not really identified to know whether they actually fit. When you look at, I was opportune to have covered the Nigerian police in the past, where Abba Kyari's arrests were being paraded, just like you said, media trials. During the Offa robbery, his team were part of those who busted that particular group, and he got the acronyms, he was getting everywhere. Now, how do we really identify that this person that is doing well has hidden agendas? Is it that whoever has gotten to that position should not be investigated for any crime in case he's achieving in one particular area, like the case of Abba Kyari?
no, in every organization, they will always have, I don't know what they do in police. In every organization, you have a particular section. It's just like what you have in the military. You talk about the military intelligence and so on and so forth. There's supposed to be an department that will be like the guard, that will guard everybody again. More like a counterintelligence that will be charged with responsibility of monitoring the staff, officers, men, so that when you see a kind of indiscretion on the part of any officer, it will be brought to the knowledge of that organization, of that department. That will now be the one that will be able to enforce the rules and the regulations and the processes in that organization. Where you see somebody getting awards, or you see somebody being paraded as the top cop or being award, will you go ahead to get that kind of award without the support of the top? And when you are living beyond the particular capacity, somebody will be able to tell you, no, this is not how to go about it. When you are fraternizing now with alleged or people that are of questionable character, somebody should be able to ask questions. But when you allow that over the years, and that person is now becoming more like a de facto IG of his own, then something is wrong somewhere. So you need to put, if they don't have it, which I believe they do have, or maybe it's not really working, then they should have something like that in place. And overall, the police itself should have, not even only police, but organizations like ministries. You have that in other countries, like in the United States. You have what you call Inspector General in each department, their own ministries. It's independent of whoever is the minister of that place. He has every authority to look into the activities of the organization. People will report to him. People will send information to him. He will now investigate. So you need something like that, that will now guard the guardian. Because at the end of the day, the police is the people that is the kind of organization that Nigerians know. When there is an incident in any society, they don't go to the military. They don't even know where the barracks are. They don't even go to the SSS. These are some of the law enforcement agencies. The only thing that comes to mind is the police. And that is why people are talking about multi-dimensional policing in the country, where you don't have somebody alone sitting down in Abuja and be sending IRT to states without the state governors knowing. And that is what is happening. You should have something that is very local. Because when you say politics is local, police should also be local, to the extent that they will now be able, those who can afford them should be able to do it. And that is how it's supposed to work. But when you have a situation where somebody is in Abuja and given direction over what and above what you can do, is no doubt about that, is going to bring a problem. But I do believe that we should give the police the benefit of the doubt. Let us allow them to do the work, and hoping that at the end of the day we'll get a better police. But again, it is going to give you a throwback to what happened in 2020. Those young adults that were in Lekki and other places all over the country, they complain about the police, not only the SARS, that they call for the police to be reformed, not to remove ISIS. No, that is what we are saying. And that is what to tell you, because people have always been saying that even suspects, when they're arrested on flimsy excuses, their girlfriends will be sniped, their girlfriends will be killed. There's a lot of things happening, and that's what people have been talking about, but they're afraid to say it. This thing happened in 2020, and one will have expected by now you have the serious reforms of the police if it means breaking down and then building it again.
Well, the Nigerian police have will tell you that they're already on the process of ensuring that we do that. But some persons have said the police are involving themselves in things like what we're seeing now due to their welfare. Some persons are not really paid according to what they should earn. But when you see a policeman living above his income, it calls for questioning. But will you attribute the police for them crimes like this?
No, let's
for instance, the junior officers were arrested in line with Abakari.
No, these were not junior officers. If you look at the rank, they say ASPs and so on and so forth.
Below Abakari.
Yeah. But what you are saying is that, number one, police cannot reform itself. It has to be from outside. That's number one. Let us understand that. Number two, the kind of investigation that NDL is doing is not the appropriate organization to do it. They are supposed to be a third, an external body. Because you have police claiming that your people are there. You are saying there are people are there.
So there should be an independent
body. You have the DSS, you have other agencies of government that are working assiduously in this country that are not known. You know, they should be able to do that. Then on the other side, we are talking about this thing. Do you know that the number of poor people in India is more than what you have in Nigeria? That does not give cause for concern in that place. Our own is the issue of societal values. We have lost it. Is it because of poverty that people are indulging in ritual killing now? It can be. So when people say it is because of the welfare of the police, it's important that they should be well remunerated. The accommodation should be at least somewhere that human being should be able to live, because they have their own children too. Would they want to become policemen in future? So we have to take care of the police, just like we take care of other services and other organizations. But then that is not enough to say that is the reason why they go after. If government is statutorily responsible for your welfare and is not doing it, is it the ordinary man in the street that you now go after? You now claim that he has done it, he has done that, when nothing happened? No, that's not a good excuse at all.
I must thank you so much for coming. But before we go, this last question. Abakari is suspected in the United States, and now he's facing trial in Nigeria. Would that affect his extradition, or what should we be expecting?
No, people have been saying it. Our lawyers and everybody have been saying that what you have in the extradition law is that when a local jurisdiction like Nigeria now is facing this kind of problem, you will have to go through the process all through.
Okay.
And if let's not just assume, if by coincidence or unfortunate incident that is taken to court and is found guilty and sentenced to maybe prison or whatever, after serving that sentence, the US is still waiting. It will be a kind of a problem for him. He'll still be, I'm sure, 10 years, 20 years in line, the US is still waiting that he will come out and then face the investigation in that place, because the investigation is there.
I must thank you so much for being on the program this morning. Wale Oluko is the policy advisor, National Security and Strategic Group. That's the NSSG. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
My pleasure.
We'll take a quick break here. When we return, more discussion on the program.